All right, last question. The acoustic guitar that you speak so belovedly of, it was your gateway to the major label world. You were signed to Narada, which was a very big deal at the time. Tell me about that transition going from indie to major label.
The truth is, I wasn't going to wait around for a label to tell me it was okay, to give me permission to do what I wanted to do. And it was interesting. It was happening at a time in my life where I'd achieved pretty much everything I wanted to achieve on the college market. I'd been named Campus Entertainer of the Year and had more than a couple Minnesota Music Awards. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, I am never going to send another. I guess I have an aversion. Maybe it's a weakness of mine that I don't like it when people say you're not good enough. So I wasn't going to give anybody the opportunity to tell me because I wasn't going to try with labels. And I just figured if I did my job and if I got some product into the distribution chain back when there was Music Land and Sam Goody, Best Buy and some of those companies, you know, I just said if I can be visible to the major labels, they're going like, well, what's Proton Discs? Well, that's the smallest positively charged record company out of Minnesota. It's just one guy making records. And I probably never really got paid on all the stuff that I distributed because I was so bad at keeping track of like who took how many units of what, you know. But obviously Narada heard about me and saw some numbers out there amongst all the other SoundScan numbers. And they said, who's this Billy guy? And the very first phone call I got from them was basically we'd like to put out a record with you and we'd like to do a 3-album deal. They were based in Milwaukee, and they had about 40 people working at headquarters at that time. Of course, there's nobody there now. I guess the content is still Narada, but there isn't a particular individual or product manager even left at Narada.
Absorbed by a major label.
Yeah. Manhattan, Blue Note took it over. It's all EMI, CMG.
Yeah, and now Universal.
Yeah, right. So I learned an awful lot about how things work out there. Mm-hmm. And I certainly wasn't ready. I mean, I was as ready as I could be to sign that deal and as ready as the available business counseling, legal experience that was around me at the time could prepare me to do that. And yeah, I got frustrated and I'm sure I said a few bad things about what happened, you know, in the course of it. But looking back now, I'd have a softer tone about the opportunity. I just didn't realize the opportunity was going to be as limited as it was from a standpoint of, I thought they would chase the success that we were having, but they'd kind of boxed me in to a certain goal of units. So it just got frustrating. If I ever had landed on Letterman, I wouldn't have sold 2,000 or 3,000 copies on SoundScan the next day because there weren't 2,000 or 3,000 on the shelves. It was that rude awakening that I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. There's so many dots to connect.
Hearing about Yanni, another Minnesota guy, moving 1 million units after he's on Oprah with Linda Evans as his new wife or whatever, girlfriend. The magic happened months before he even was on Oprah. To have 1 million units available to buy, to even manufacture them, Willie.
Right.
Like now all that product management, you know, the fear of what if we don't sell them all? That's all gone now, you know? Yeah. And I don't know how to navigate quite exactly yet, but I just know that it's never going to go back to that thing, you know, where the artist is held up for whatever reason, never had enough product in the market. And I did the on-site surveys in every town, and it frustrated everybody at the label to no end. Because at one point you'd hear the answer, oh, well, there's more units there. They're just in the stock room. And I'd say, no, they're not, because I was in the stock room. Okay? Like, you know, those kind of conversations made me not a very popular person at the label, but I was giving it my all, you know? And I thought, oh, this is going to be more like the Beatles. You get a hit and, you know, And then I realized not so much.
No.
At least not at this label.
These major labels also, any label, they have a publicity department, they have a production department, they have distribution, they have marketing, and then they have to have a product management person who is really particularly fond of you and emphasizing you in the meetings to coordinate all of these 5 departments to make it so that when something positive does happen, that everything's in place to take advantage of that moment.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're saying. Yanni had it lined up, for that one time.
That's where the magic was, yes.
And you were doing a lot of things right, but if you don't do all the things right, the major label, label system isn't necessarily built.
I was ready to go make more of my own units that the record label was putting out, and I was outselling the label on a weekly basis because I was touring my ass off.
That gives a whole new meaning to do it yourself, DIY.
Well,
I'm going to outsell the label.
It's the mouse carrying the elephant on its back rather than the elephant carrying the mouse and making the mouse bigger than a mouse, So again, that's the old days. What does it look like now? I mean, this is more of a direct consumer thing that I'm still trying to figure out. And part of, I think, why you're interested in us having this chat is so people can get to know me and maybe get to know what's behind my music, and so that there can be some context around the years of dedication that have gone into being a full-time musician. Because the old ways are still kind of in my head.
Absolutely.
But I do know it's about people, and it's about being able to share what you've got with people and finding the pipeline for that. And getting on playlists, I think, is probably part of it.
Yep, which you've done pretty well with, actually. We can always do better. Billy, thank you for talking to me today.
Appreciate it.
This has been
a
wonderful, wonderful experience. Thank you. I've been talking to Billy McLaughlin, guitarist, songwriter, singer.
Thank you, Willie Wisely, and all you folks out there that listen on all the different formats and platforms. I hope to see you in person soon.